Hey, good afternoon. We are making flying geese in a circle. This is the pattern. Circle the geese. This is perfect for the center of a medallion quilt. It measures 40, the square measures 48 by 48. We're going to finish this today. Well, we're going to finish this in the next day or two. But then on Thursday, we're going to start giving you some ideas about things to do around it to make it a bigger quilt. We'll be using blocks that are currently available on the website. But what I'm stressing is do your own thing. Come up. Nothing makes me happier than to see you guys take elements that we offer, put them together in your own way, and come up with something new. And I love it when you do that. So that is what we're working on today, and I want to remind everybody of our sale that's going on. 20% off all patterns, blocks, and refill packages. This is the code when you go to purchase. Put in Christmas, July 2026, and it will take 20% off of everything that are any patterns, any blocks, or any refills that you might want. Remember, $100 gets you free shipping, and this sale is running until midnight Saturday night. So be sure you check it out. I'll refer to this a little bit more later. So that's what we're working on. But I wanted to show you how easy this is to do. If you've been following, you know our flying geese are awesome to do. Super simple, no sweat. And I missed you guys Thursday and Saturday. Hi Denise and Catherine from New Hampshire. Hey, thanks for joining us. He's out of surgery, 7 screws. Got his permanent hardware put in, but it didn't take too long. So he's doing, as far as I know, he's doing fine. So my last message from Laura, she hadn't seen him yet, but she'd talked to the doctor. So I wasn't sure if she shared all that was going on, but that's where we are right now, as far as I know. So anyway, I missed you guys. We thought we could get the new office done and moved in 5 days or 6 days, whatever it was. And mind you, this is a 100-year-old farmhouse. We ran into all kinds of things. So if you hear hammering and sawing in the background, it's because they're cutting out and framing for a new window. So that means after that, new sheetrock, new ceiling. So we have a lot further to go, but I got my helpers going, and I'll get moved in. I'm not going to sweat it. I can work where I am, although everything now is, of course, torn up. I had to empty that room, and I have boxes and stacks of stuff everywhere, but I'll get through it. It's I'm not feeling stressed about it, so taking it all in stride. It was a little bit more than I could do by myself, so I got my helpers. So we're making the flying geese, and the only difference about this one is they're curved sections. You can see it's making a curve. So, but it's just as easy as any of the others. If you sew in the line, you're going to get the perfect points. Just like that. The background, you have two different sizes on this one. The outside background piece is bigger than the inside. But I have them, my two stacks with my little cheat sheet to remind me which pieces those are for. But believe it or not, I know, I always say simple. Oh, I love to show it to you when it's done. It is going to be a while. They're doing half of, we tore down walls, so we're doing half, and I filled the other half with lots of stuff, and when I get the office half set up, then I got to clean out the other half and continue the same thing. They'll replace the other window and do the floors, the ceiling. The walls in there are all shiplap, so it's good. Just gonna have to paint it. So who knew that 100 years ago shiplap was gonna come back into style? So anyway, it'll get done, and yes, I would love to share it with you. And then when that's done, we're working on the main part of the studio where I sew and do my long arm and cut my fabric kits, because it is a total mess right now. Everything, you do one room and everything gets messed up. Okay, I trim for number 8. That's a small piece. These fabrics, I didn't look before I came on today to see if we have the fabric kit on there yet. If we don't, I will be putting it on there. This is Ruby Star Society from Moda. I have quite a few different colors. This is I think is it speckled or something like that? It's got, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. It's got a little gold metallic flakes. And I've got quite a few different, like I say, different colors that all go together in this quilt. And I will be putting, I don't know if this is going to sound confusing, but when I do this as a medallion quilt with, I'm going to be adding some borders and, go around it with different blocks, stuff like that. When I get done, if I like it, I will kit it. But what I'm trying to do is get you guys to come up with some of your own ideas. I think my first row of blocks around this medallion is going to be alternating with a plain fabric square and then a Lemoyne star square, plain square, Ohio star. So that's where I'm headed on Thursday. And then I don't know beyond that. Haven't thought about it beyond that. But I will be offering the fabric kit for the medallion, and then I will be offering all the different Ruby Star fabrics that I have in fat quarters, half yard, and 1 yard increments. So if you decide you want to do your own thing, you can do that. Start with a kit, and then you can add on as you want. I will be keeping these fabrics in stock, so I won't be limited. Anyway, that's the plan. Did I trim for that one? No. I get to yakking and I forget what I'm doing. Yes, you're right. In an old house, and everything is redwood, and of course, 100 years ago when they cut lumber, it was a little different size. So this has been fun. But I think it's going to be really nice. And then the room my office is currently in is going to be put back to a bedroom. So I can do bed turning or do photography with bed-size quilts or throw quilts. And it's where Donald and Laura like to stay when they come to visit. It gives them a little bit of privacy till I come to work, but it's nice for them. And then the boys stay with us, so Grandma gets up and makes them breakfast, and we spend the morning together before Donald and Laura come and join us, so it's kind of fun. Grandma likes it. Okay, so this one has been totally done, and you know what, I'm going to tack these corners down, especially since those two edges, are curved. And remember, on my curved pieces, we do measure that broken line at exactly 1/4 inch. So you want to trim on the line. I always say on the straight lines, use your ruler. Curved lines, you can count on those. I specifically do not adjust those at all for printing. If that's the way they're going to be, that's the way they're going to be. And I don't cheat. So I'll trim the 2 straight sides. And then if I can find my fabric scissors. I got too many projects going on at once here. Ouch. Disaster. Don't look at the mess. It's crazy here. I've got everything out close in. Fabric scissors, got them. Okay, we're gonna cut this on the broken line. And it's best if you leave it flat on the table, or as flat as possible. You know, this mama wanted to go to Virginia so bad to help the kids. Thankfully, Laura's parents are only a couple hours away, so they came up to be with the boys while Laura was at the hospital with Donald. But he's my baby. Okay, I have... This is the first... I don't know if I have these labeled as part A, B, whatever, but this is the first one to the round. Let's get this over here. We're making wedges. I know that's cheat sheet, huh? Makes it super easy. So we have this one, the dark teal or whatever color that is, joined to the light pink. Now we're going to put the turquoise. And I've alternated the directions that the geese fly in. So the inside curve always gets clipped in the seam allowance. So it'll kind of open up without having to stretch it to match the outside curve on the piece we're joining it to. So I've clipped, I do 1 or 2 clips per section, and then we're just gonna, and I like to use pins so I can make sure that this solid line meets this solid line. That way, everything stays perfect size. Perfect. I think I overused that word. There we go. Down just a skosh. What's a skosh? Okay. And my last one. So this is how you do a curved seam. You've seen me do, I think you've seen me do New York Beauties or one of our curved. So this is a very gentle curve, which makes this a pretty easy one to do. Make sure our doesn't sound like the bobbin thread's working too good. No, not moving. Oh, I feel a big old nest on the back. Oh, you guys, I hate this. And that's why I don't backstitch. And I do on my vintage machines, but not on this machine. Somebody said the other day, it sounds like time for a new machine. But this one is fairly new. Oops. Come on. Come on. So, if you just joined us, we are running a sale this week. We don't do a lot of sales, so okay, let's get this one started again. We are running the sale. Let me put this on the camera. For those who just joined us, we're doing a 20% off all patterns, blocks, and refills for the rest of this month. I mean, the rest of this week. Oh, Lord, kill me. Well, anyway, Christmas July 2026 is the code. When you go to checkout, put that in, and it will take 20% off of every item that qualifies. And it's all patterns, all blocks, and all refill packages. So it's a good deal. Save you some money. So check out the website. If there's something you've been thinking about getting, now is the time. Also, before our shipping rates go up. Okay, I'm going to move in just a tad. When I start the needle right close to the edges, when I seem to have a problem. Now I'll backstitch. Okay. So, same thing as I do in my other curve piecing, as I just sort of ease. You can hardly tell it's a curve. Just keep the fullness from puckering. And of course you want to be right on the line so you don't cut the edges of or the points on the sides of your flying geese off. Just take it slow and easy, and it's a gentle, gentle curve. And there we have it. Looks good. Points look good. Points look good. And I think let me look on this one. Yeah, they all go, the seam allowances go down. Just give it a good steam pressing. Okay, so we've got 3 done. I'm going to do the next layer, or whatever you want to call it. The one with 4 geese on it, so we can build our whole wedge. And these are a pretty magenta. Let me put these up here. Do that like that. Oh, this is going to go fast once I get things set here. This is for 2 and 3. I like to put my little cheat sheets there just in case, you know me, I get a little scatterbrained every now and then. Okay, so we're going to take fabric piece number 1. Isn't that a pretty color? Oh, I love that. Wrong side facing up, just like we start every other one. This is the foundation, and you should be able to read Circle the Geese, part D. You want that side facing up, the side you can read. There's our space number 1, and you want to set it so you have about, lay it flat here, so you have about 1/4 of an inch. This is space 1, this triangle. This is space 2. You want about 1/4 of an inch of fabric going past the line between 1 and 2. And this one you get a freebie. You can do it with about 1/4 of an inch going past the line into space number 3. So that'll save a trimming. Let's get this straight, and then instead of pinning it to hold it in place, I just run that line of stitching between the solid line and the broken line to hold it in place, and that way the foundation is attached to the fabric. Okay, so number 2 is up here. And that's this piece. And it's, you can tell it's the bigger piece because it's the outside of the curve. And we'll just stitch on that line. And on the flying geese, the secret is to being accurate on the line. Obviously, you always want to sew on the line, but let me show you what. Here, you can see a little bit of the black there in the middle. But I really make sure when I get up here to the top that I am right on the line and that you can't see the black. Really important. And you'll get really used to that. So I really recommend an open toe foot where you can actually see where your needle is stitching. Okay, and remember, I set the fabric so I have the 1/4 inch there for number 3 also. I don't have to trim. We'll put fabric piece number 3 right there, even with that edge, and turn it over. And remember, we archive, or I guess that's what you call it. These videos are always available for you, so if you see a project you like, you can go to here, and I think Laura said the other day now she's got them cross-referenced on the website, so you can either go to the website and click on it, or you can just look for us on YouTube and watch your video at your leisure. Have it step by step with you while you're making it until you get the gist. We don't give the cutting instructions per se, size-wise and all that in the videos, but they come in all the packages. So whether you buy just blocks or you buy a pattern, you always get cutting instructions. Okay, we're going to get ready to add piece number 4. This is the seam line where we're going to sew it on. So we're going to line our straight edge up even with that seam line. I like it to just barely show. So when I fold it back, that line is basically the fold line here. So I get a true 1/4 inch seam allowance. Use your add a 1/4 ruler. Makes it super simple to get your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now we know when we turn it right sides up, put our next piece, get rid of that thread, right even with where we just trimmed. And you just kind of eyeball center it. If you're real picky, it doesn't matter, but you can fold this in half and put that fold right there at the point of the one below. I just kind of hold my fingers, and if there's about the same amount of fabric past both edges, I know I'm good. We have fans going today and they're not helping. And if you know me, you know I hate threads. I love thread. I just don't like them where they don't belong. And it's very important when you're doing the flying geese that you stay on the line as you cross, where 2 and 3 come together at the top. But you don't have any, you know, squaring up or trimming up or whatever on your, I know I have a couple different flying geese rulers and I never remember how to use them. So this just became the way. Press that open and you got a perfect point. At least it's perfect enough for, close enough for me. Hi, Sandy. Glad you could join us. Don't forget, you guys, our sale's going on right now. 20% off all patterns, blocks, and refills. Running through Saturday. The code when you go to checkout is Christmas, July 2026. And this is the pattern we're working on right now today. Circle the geese. It makes a 48 by 48 medallion. I do believe if you don't want to put the outer circles on, I think it's about a 44 inch circle. I think that's what it measures. I can measure that for you. Actually, no, I take it back. It is 48. The circle is a full 48. So it makes a nice medallion for a bed quilt. Did I do both? No, just the wrong number. Number 5 is here. We're going to trim, use our straight edge. Right there along the seam line, fold this back. Bye, Denise. Hope to see you Thursday. Okay, this is... These have the little gold metallic flakes, is how I can tell the right side easier. Catch it in the light. This is Ruby Star from Moda. I have been working on a fish quilt for a designer who has a new line of fabric coming out with Island Batik. And I did my sample in my fabrics because the fabric line has not come out yet. But we're doing a table runner or a wall hanging, and that will be my pattern. Her pattern is it's a good size quilt, a throw quilt, I think. And I already trimmed for number 6. I'm talking and not paying attention here. I'm putting a light color over a dark color, so I match the edges and I scoot this up just a little bit. If you watch me regularly, you'll know I do that so that you don't get a shadow of the dark underneath when you open the light fabric, because you can't change the way your seam allowance goes. So the 2 extra threads worth or whatever to scoot it past it just is fine. and because I think this might be kind of, this fabric, it might possibly show through. So that way you don't get a shadow. If my fabric was back behind the dark and I opened it up, you might see just a faint line, like a shadow, through the fabric. You know, you don't want that. In traditional piecing, we always say press the seam allowance towards the dark side, but we can't do that here. So what's that? Just cover your bases or whatever. Thank you. So now we're going to get ready to add piece number 7. And this beautiful, I guess you'd call this a magenta, or close to it. Put that there. Turn it over. And you can pin if it makes you feel more comfortable. This block is small enough my arthritic hands can still be pretty good at holding the fabric in place. Guys, I'm starting to get nervous. We're getting ready to do this is Ruby Star fabric. So we're getting ready to get back into doing quilt shows. I've only done, what, 1 or 2 in the last little over a year. Bob's accident kind of took care of that. So I've decided to downsize my quilt show booth so I can manage it by myself. And we're going to be doing, between Laura and I, we're doing 6 shows in 2.5 months. So 7, 8 is over here. But I'm getting nervous trying to think of everything. You know, when you downsize your booth, you got to rethink how your layout is, and then I have to stock Laura with all the stuff, the hardware stuff, because she's doing a show on her own the same weekend I'm doing a show here in California. So time is getting crucial, and I'm getting nervous about getting everything done. So I hope, if you're able, that you can join us at one of the shows. They are listed on the website, but we're doing a show in Scottsdale. I believe it's Labor Day weekend, the first weekend of September, and it's at Westworld in Scottsdale. And then that's the first weekend of September. I believe it's the last weekend of September. We'll be in Pleasanton, California. Haven't done a show there in years. So I hope to see some of my friends in that area. And then in October, and please, I can't remember the date, it's a new show in Salem, Oregon. So obviously we haven't done it before. Looking very forward to that. And then that's in October. And then in November, the want to say the first weekend of November we will be in Tucson. And the next weekend we will be in Puyallup, Washington. We have never done that show. We haven't done the Tucson show in about 4 or 5 years, at least. And then we're coming home from Washington. And like the next day, we are flying back to Virginia. Laura is having a, what do you call it? An important birthday. So we want to be there for that, and then staying through Thanksgiving. And then coming home and getting ready for the kids to come here for Christmas. Number 10. Oh, I hear saws going. Crazy weather all over. Sandy, I think it's called speckled. I'm not positive. I looked on the bolts and it just had the numbers. But I think it's called speckled. Has little gold flecks in it. And I will be putting the yardage on the website. So if you want to make your quilt, if you want to, like I say, I'm not sure if we put this fabric kit on the website. If it's not on there, it will be before I go home this afternoon. And the additional fabrics, and there are, I have more colors than what are in this, but they do all go together, kind of from the same palette. Blues and purples and magentas. I know there's a navy blue. And I will be keeping these in stock and probably adding to the colors that I already have. And when I did this first one, I chain pieced, and I did all, like I have all, I did all the part A, I did all part B's, and I sewed them together. So when I'm done on here, I will probably finish it out that way. I don't know if it's any faster, but when you do all of them for the, all of them in the same color, and add them to the previous one, it just seems when you're done, the wedges are ready to sew together. You don't have to go back and do them. So, if that makes sense. So, and the sale that we're running right now is only for people who catch us here on YouTube or get our blog, and the blog is going out before I go to bed tonight. The blog will be written and going out. So if you already know about the sale from watching us on YouTube, that's great. And if you've missed it, you'll get the reminder in the blog. You know, I like to tack any loose pieces, corners, or whatever. I like to tack the foundation to the fabric just so it won't get distorted when it's getting sewn together. Okay, now that this is totally covered, we will trim the 2 straight edges. I used my ruler. It looks like I'm pretty accurate with printing the broken line. So you could use that as a guide. This one, see, I think I'm a tiny bit, maybe not. I guess they're both pretty good. And then you can trim your curved seam. You can use your scissors or your rotary cutter if you're pretty confident. Oh, and if you're interested in doing, I showed you art quilts last week or the week before. Time flies, can't remember. I have decided on what I'm gonna do on the video and the sew along. I will be showing you that in the next couple of days, so you'll want to watch. And I will be making the foundations available with some suggestions for colors for your fabrics, different things to start looking for if you want to sew along with me. And we'll gradually work on it. I'm not going to push and but it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and I am so used to pinning that I just do it. Fortunately, on these, there's nothing to match. Just the seam all the way around. I mean, you have points, but they don't line up to the other points, so it makes it really easy, nothing to match. Okay, and like last time, I'm going to start in a little bit. Switch to needle down and push that out so my edges match, so my seam line will match. Yeah, these fabrics I really like these. I'll probably be finding other projects to use them in. And then I think we just have one more section here. Oh, this came out great. Okay. Now I press this with the seam allowance going towards the bottom or inner part. And there, see, the seam lines stay nice and straight. But you see how simple the curve lines are to do. I say these are, if you're intimidated by curved seams, this is a great project because they're nice, gentle. Oh, I hear a kitty. Miss Lexi, hey. She doesn't come in too often anymore. Okay, now we've got our last one. Please excuse the mess in this sewing room. We'll put these together and our last one. So there are a total of 6 wedges per half of the circle. So this is our first one of the second half. This is the first half put together on this one. And I do believe Laura is doing this one, but in a different colorway. And off the top of my head, I can't remember which colors. This is number 2. I like to do this always with my number 2 piece and my number 3 piece there. Well, let's put them up a little higher. And the number 1 right here. Nice thing is I can pin them into the cushion if I need to keep them from moving all over the place. There we go. Easy to pull from. Okay. Oops. Fabric piece number 1. You can't hear me. Been conversing back and forth with a couple people, so hopefully you can hear me. Okay, do this the right way. Circle the geese, part E, on top of fabric piece number 1 with about 1/4 of an inch, going past the line between 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. And I'm just gonna slide it over to the needle and stitch that between the solid line and the broken line. Now we're going to turn it over so the right side of the fabric is facing up. We're going to take a fabric piece number 2 and put right sides together. Center that. Turn it over and stitch on the line between space 1 and space 2. Oh, good. So yes, these are Ruby Star fabrics. I will be putting the yardage on the website. So if you want to buy the kit to make the medallion and then you want to do something around it, add borders, add more blocks, you can order more fabric. And everything I have right now, they all kind of go together. I think I pulled them from this speckled fabric. I know I've got the dark blue and all the colors you see here. Another a turquoise between this turquoise and the darker or this color between these. It's a little different. They all go together though. They're all, I don't know, do you call these pastels? Whatever, but they all work together. So, and you'll be seeing the other colors when I start working on the outer blocks to make it a medallion, a true medallion quilt. I need to turn this just ever so slightly. If I could get my hands out of the way, the picture wouldn't be so blurry. Don't forget, I hate to sound like a broken record, but those who just jump in throughout the show, I want them to know about our 20% off sale. All of our patterns, our block packages, and our refill packages on sale 20% off. You need the code to use at checkout. This is not a... I mean, anybody can jump on YouTube and watch us, but the reward for doing that is that you can get the code. It's Christmas, July 2026 to get 20% off of all patterns, block packages, and refill packages. And if you know me, you know I'm always going and cutting my threads as I go. I just hate having threads. And maybe I should talk to a doctor, you think, find out what my problem is, why I am so adamant about it. Kind of like being claustrophobic. I don't understand why I am, but oh boy. Trim down. Those who might be new, to get ready to add the next piece, we go in numerical order. Number 5 is next. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sewn on. Number 5 is next. So we line our straight edge up with the seam line where we're going to add the next number. Fold this back. You never want to cut your foundation. And then you want to use your add a quarter ruler. If you're not familiar, I got a 1/4 inch lip there. You can see right there, that 1/4 inch lip. So you fold your foundation back over your straight edge and you put your add a quarter ruler right up against your straight edge like that, and then trim away any extra fabric so it leaves you with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. There's a couple reasons you do this. Number one, you want to get rid of as much fabric as you can. There's no sense in having your quilt weigh a lot of extra or be bulkier. So you want to get rid of the extra fabric, and also it is your guide of where to place your fabric when you're adding the next piece. In all the sizes that we tell you to cut your fabric, are based on sewing it on a 1/4 inch strip for seam allowance. Now I just this last couple days have watched a couple videos of people doing like crazy quilts or whatever on a foundation from scraps, and they don't cut them down. They use way oversized pieces, and then they open it up after they sew it, and then just cut with scissors, kind of haphazardly. And I guess that works. Hey, if that's your thing, more power to you. I am not saying there's anything wrong with doing that. But you end up, many times, I have done it, so your pieces don't cover the space you want it to, or you end up with extra fabric, or you end up cutting your seam allowance a little too close, so you don't really have a good a good amount of stability. This doesn't take any longer, just so much easier, in my opinion. It looks great. And when you're cutting your pieces, you don't have to be real accurate. When I'm using scraps, I'll have to show you. I don't know that I did that when we were way back when we were talking about how to tame your stash. I will take all sorts of odd sizes and shapes, but I'll find one corner or edge, and I'll stack numerous. If I'm going to cut, say I'm gonna do, let's just say strip piecing, like for the 5-inch diagonally striped blocks. And if I don't have strips cut in the fabrics I want to use, I'll take my scraps, like I say, oddball pieces, and stack them. I usually do it on the ironing board to start with. So I stack them so either one edge is even or one end is even, whatever, but I do that for all the pieces. And if it's odd shape, if I have a stack like this of strips, and this oddball shape has maybe dives down, I'll still set it there because I'm going to trim both sides anyway. But I'll find common edges to stack them. I press as I stack till maybe I get 8 layers of fabric, and then I'll cut them to the size I need. And it's no big deal if you're making something like that. If your cutting's off a little bit, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I tell people when you're cutting strips for like a project like that, I don't even cut the selvage off. I just allow a little extra for it, that it's there. But the sizes we give you for cutting allows for a little bit of leeway if you're cutting multiple layers and your ruler slides as you go. You're cutting and you're like this, and as you go, the layers of fabric kind of twist. It's okay. You're not depending on that perfect cut and a perfect 1/4 inch seam to make your block the size it's supposed to be. As you can see, every piece we're doing here, we're trimming it as we go. So if you have a little extra fabric, don't worry about it. Don't want you to be too short of fabric. As long as you have 1/8 of an inch of fabric in your seam allowance, you can go with it. It's with the foundation, you get a little bit more support in your seams, a little less stress on your fabric. So if you're a little bit shy, but it's not your cut edges that are giving you the accuracy. It's, well, I think Kitty Cat knocked some bolts of fabric over. It's not your cut edges and a perfect 1/4 inch seam that give you the accuracy. It's sewing on the line that does that. So no more, when I'm cutting for traditional piecing, I'm always very nervous because I know that everything relies on being cut perfect. That's just too much stress for me. Number 8 is here. Oh, Sandy, and we appreciate you so much. And when you post your quilts, you just have an eye for color. You love your stuff. And unlike paper piecing, you're going to leave this in, so you use what we call a regular stitch length. I just tell my students to use a stitch length that they use in their traditional piecing. Instead of that itty bitty bitty stitch, tiny stitch you use for paper piecing, and you use that tiny stitch so you can perforate your papers. I heard an interesting comment the other day. Somebody asked a paper piecer if they used the tracing wheel like we used to use in sewing. I mean, that's the only place I think I've ever used one of those wheels. But she said if you go over all the lines on the paper and run that on there, it will perforate the paper to make it easier to take it out. I would be afraid it would come apart while I was sewing. And of course with this, you don't have to do that. You're just going to leave it in. It doesn't add any weight or bulk to your quilt, but it does keep everything square. All these bias edges aren't going to stretch on you. When I would, before I got my own long arm, and I would take my quilts into my long arm quilter, she loved it. She says, "Oh, yours are so easy to do. They keep their shape. They're not, 2 inches longer on one side than the other, and so they're wonderful." And I found the same thing now that I have my own long arm. Okay, we're going to get ready to add piece number 10, and that's where we're going to stitch it on. Well, you're doing a very good job, Sandy. Right sides together. Is everybody having crazy weather right now? I mean, I've been hearing about storms everywhere. monsoon season down in Arizona is terrible. And we're having some hot weather, but we're having a little extra humidity, which we're not used to. I'm really glad we're not traveling right now. Oh, it's my little baby over there. So we're going to do an art quilt of a doorway. There's some flowers involved for practicing free motion thread painting. And we'll get into all that. Whoops. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to show you a few things you might want to get or make or utilize. And most of this stuff that I use is made from things that I already have, at least in the beginning. If you really get into it, there's, you know, the light boxes and all that stuff. If you have them, fine. If you don't have to have them. I will show you how I started out, because I didn't know if I was going to be any good at it or if I was going to enjoy it, and I wasn't going to go spend a whole lot of money and then decide, oops, this isn't for me. And I think my homemade stuff works just as good as that expensive stuff. And if it's something, if it's like a frame I use, I made, it's evolved over the years, but I will show you even how to make these frames. We'll go through the whole thing, and it won't be something that I think that I will probably introduce things as we go here on my lives, but I will also be making either a separate video or a series of stills with explanations that you can go back and refer to also. You know, that would be dedicated to doing an art quilt. But I wanted to start, I think the doorways, hi Raina, I think that a doorway is something you can put your own spin on, and it's architecturally, it's usually pretty, well, depends on which ones we go with, but for the first one or two, I'm doing a whole series of doorway art quilts. But like I say, you can put your own spin on it. Obviously do your own colors, do flowers differently if you don't feel confident in doing them one way. And I'll be going over all of that as we go. just do number 14. 14. We're going to have a whole wedge done today. Yay. So this really doesn't take a long time to do, even though when you're done it looks like it probably took you forever. All these flying geese. Last piece, yay. And this last one, we'd go all the way out to the broken line on both ends of this one. And we'll give this a press. And before I trim it, I'm going to just do a quick line of stitching in the seam allowance. Hold the foundation to the fabric, so when I sew the pieces together, it doesn't get distorted. And I just ran out of bobbin thread. So it doesn't get distorted or separated. I was smart enough to wind a few extra bobbins this morning. I try to check every morning when I come in, because there's nothing I hate more than working on a project and gotta go stop and wind a bobbin. Okay, so this is completely covered, so just like we did on the others, we're gonna trim the straight ends, straight edges, the two ends, using the ruler, 1/4 inch from the solid line. That solid line is your sewing line where you're gonna join it to another piece, so and then we'll use our scissors and we're going to trim on this broken line. It comes with the foundations to make it into a square, so you don't have to do any figuring or anything. So when I think it's, I haven't looked, let me look. Yeah, each wedge has an outer piece to make it go from round to square. If you want to keep it round, just don't add those. If you want them to be square, add the outer piece. When I get this one sewn on, that will be my next step, so you'll see how it goes. Okay, so on this inner curve, before we sew it to the previous one, we're going to clip it. I just clip maybe twice in each section. Don't cut into the solid line, but this way it will open up to fit the curve and you won't have to stretch anything. Okay. So we're going to add it on to this piece to complete our wedge. So we're just going to match at the corners. Like I said, there's nothing you have to match on here. But you do want your seam lines. I don't know about pins anymore. It is so hard to find good sharp pins. So you want to make sure that this seam line on the bottom matches with the one on the top, so you don't cut your points off on your flying geese. But because you're increasing the number of flying geese in each one of these rounds, your seam lines don't match up, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just you want the curved seam to match. So I'd like to put the pin through to come out to match with the one underneath. And we'll just work our way around. And remember, you have your little clips here in the seam allowance, so you don't have to stretch anything. You just keep your two edges together. And I put a pin in the solid line on the top and make sure it comes out on the solid line on the bottom, so I know I have my two seam lines matching. That way I'm pretty sure I'm not going to cut off the tips of the flying geese underneath. Oh, just off ever so slightly. There we go. Lift that up. And then before I like to go to the end when I'm got a spacer or a flying geese section or two, just to make sure that I've got it spread out evenly. That's got to go down just a tad. Edges are even on the sides, so that this seam line is going to continue all the way down, and you want that seam line to be straight and in line with the ones below it. Looks good. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna, there. Whew, way off. Still off. And I feel so uncoordinated right now. There we go. I knew we could get it. Okay, let's get this thing stitched together. Make sure my edges are matched. Needle down. is such a gentle curve. You hardly have any fullness that you have to even worry about. It's like sewing a straight line. There, I don't want that to, stay straight, smooth. And there we have. Get down there. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to press it so the seam allowance goes towards the center of the wedge, or the bottom edge, smaller edge. Good. And yes, I do use steam. For those of you who are new, I do use about the lowest steam setting I can get. I just like it, makes it lay flat. There we are. Okay, now let me show you on this one. This from here over to here is one wedge. There's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flying geese. So this is my seam line here for this particular wedge point. All the wedges are exactly the same. The only thing that's going to be different is which piece you add to the outside. There is a seam line right there. You can see in the light, that's the seam line. It doesn't show up otherwise. So per quarter, you're going to have 2 wedges like this that are mirror images of each other, and then the corner one. So I'm going to do this first one so it can just continuously be added around as I get each wedge done. So here are my wedges, or my outside edge pieces for the foundation. So I want one that is going to be, I don't know if you can see that, it's going to sit like that. So I'm going to put it on the back of, I want it to go like this. I'm going to put a pin in it to make sure I know which side is up. This is my background fabric. And because it's going to be on a foundation, it doesn't matter if you put anything on the straight of grain. And this does not have a pattern to it. So it's just however you can get it to fit on here to be the most efficient. I think I want to put it. Over, put it like this. So I'm going to take my pin out and place the right direction, and I'm just going to press this. It's not fusible, but when you press it like that, it will make it it'll have enough static electricity to, I think somebody's been cutting paper with my fabric scissors. I just cut extra around it. Put the rest of those over there. So now what I'm going to do is I have it the right orientation. I am going to stitch all the way around in the seam allowance. And I want to keep it nice and flat so I don't distort it. Sorry for the noise. Construction workers are working. Music to my ears. And I'm just going to sew all the way around. Now I lay it out so I make sure it's nice and flat. Turn it again. Still keep it nice and flat. You can spray base this with the 505 temporary adhesive. I just prefer because when the whole thing's put together, you still want your outer edges stitched down to hold it all together. And as you press and use steam on that temporary adhesive, the adhesiveness does dissipate and go away. So, okay, now that this has been stitched and it's nice and flat, I'm going to trim all the way around 1/4 inch from the solid line. We do have one curved edge, so I'll wait and do that with my scissors. I'm having a hard time, having a hard time with the glare of the light, overhead light, seeing where that straight line is. And of course, if you have a long ruler, you can use that. This small cutting area, I've decided to just use a smaller ruler. Okay, fabric scissors. And for those of you who just recently joined us, I'll show you, this is the pattern we're working on. It's called Circle the Geese. It makes a 48 by 48 medallion. And right now we're having a sale, a Christmas July sale, 20% off all our patterns, blocks, and refills. This sale runs through Saturday night. 20% off. The code is Christmas July 2026. If you put that code in at checkout, it will give you your 20% off on all those items. So it's a pretty good deal. Okay, let's trim this on the dotted line. I guess it's not dotted, it's a dashed line, broken line. Opening your seams, there are times when I do, and I will show you an example. I've got one right here. With our foundations, I am much more prone to pressing seams open to alleviate the bulk or spread the bulk out. It's just that on this curved piecing, it will make some little, when you open this up, well, you can. And I do believe, I want to check this, but I do believe, yes, I did. I ran my seam allowances, each wedge, like this wedge, I ran them all to the center. The second wedge, I did them up so that the seams butt. When you're sewing one wedge to the next, your seams will butt up. Makes it much easier to get those seams perfect. When you press all your seams open, it's a little more difficult to get those sections to come together. Okay, this is a curved edge, so I am going to clip it, and because it's such a gentle curve, it doesn't need to be clipped too much or too often, but it keeps you from stretching. Okay, here's our completed wedge. So it's going to go like that. Like that. So then we'll just turn it over, right sides together. And again, I am going to pin. And actually, I always, I don't know why, whoops. That's what's wrong here. I always put this curve, the inward curve, on top and sew on that side. But on this one, it might be better if we did it from this side, because this is the only side that has a point you want to not cut off. So let's give it a shot. There's not enough. The reason I usually do it the other side is because you have fullness that you need to get spread out, but on this gentle curve there isn't enough fullness to worry about. It will just flatten out as you go. One time you could use clips. I go out here, match that in first, and then come back and make sure this is all, the fullness is all eased in nicely. Okay. Like that. Beautiful. Okay. And you can feel underneath this. It's much easier to feel if you have any kind of a pecker or anything than it is with paper. I did not cut the points off. That's good, good, good. Okay, and let's see. This one we went down with our seam allowances. Oops. Gotta give it a good steaming. Okay. Oh, that's a stubborn one right there. There's not much fabric past that. This might be one of those where we'll I think we're going to press it up because there's nothing on the other side. There's no, now I gotta, that works. Yeah, there's just not enough fabric there for it to lay properly. Okay, so there we have one wedge done, and of course I did it the opposite of the way it's going to be up here at the halfway thing. I did exactly opposite. Sorry you can't see that, but yes, that will be the center horizontal. This will be the horizontal line in the center of the quilt. Like, let me move the camera up like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done. Stay down here tonight, kind of late, get these done. And Tuesday, I will have it put together like this, and then we're going to start on some ideas for building a larger quilt around this medallion. So this is the Circle the Geese medallion pattern. That's available. Remember, before I leave, sound like a broken record, this is our current sale going on, 20% off, patterns, blocks, and refills. The code is Christmas July 2026 when you go to checkout, and this sale only runs till Saturday night. So don't forget, don't miss out. Tell your friends. Tell them to come and join us on our lives. Remember, I do lives Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, from noon to 2 on Pacific time. Laura does shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to noon Eastern time. So hopefully one of those times, or both, ideally both, will hit you well. And, oh, I see Laura posted that Donald is home and okay. Good. Grandma's going to want to call. Anyway, this is our sale. Don't forget, we'll be back on Thursday and see if we can't do some fun stuff around this medallion. Make it stand out. We hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday, a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see you back here Thursday at noon Pacific time. Till then, everybody, yeah, thank you. We'll see you on Thursday, and hopefully you'll see Laura tomorrow morning. I hope Donald's still doing well so she can do it. We'll talk to you all. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye.